All right, so I think we're good. I had a bit of technical difficulty today. So if you came by at 8:45 and saw nothing, it's because I was fighting with my router. I'm told these things happen. Apologies though if you're watching the recording because you came by at 8:45 and there was nothing here but nothing. All right, so this is Refactor Saturday, and we'll be looking at the flyweight pattern that we implemented at the beginning of the week and playing the game now because we have that ability and seeing as we walk through where we might want to clean things up or implement things. So depending on what you're looking to get out of it, it could either be really rewarding in the sense of getting into the nitty-gritty code or really boring if you wanted to have some reinforcements of the design pattern or some high level chats. Eshkatite says you had me worried. Ooh, I had myself worried there, buddy. Um, Specifically because I was I was hard resetting my router over and over again and just getting nothing. So I guess there was some sort of early morning outage in my area for my provider. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off by playing our game and seeing where we are. So things look good here if we just kind of limit ourselves to being above the fold for a second, where we can kind of instantiate this world with just a few lines of code. We just have to cheat a bit in terms of getting oriented, like what room are we in, what player are we. Like we said before, eventually these 3 lines of code would all be taken care of by a maybe a database call, because we would take whoever you are as a user, find your character, and then your character would know what room they're in, and so then we just render that for you. So there's still some work to do here, but let's ignore that for now. And then in the command prompt, so after we draw the room, draw the status bar, and we give the command prompt, which is to read the line, look at send that line to the command parser, and then display the command, and then redraw the command prompt in a recursive method. So there's no way to exit out of this. We're just going to keep seeing the command prompt, keep being able to input commands. And we might today look at a way to actually exit out of the game and break this recursive function. Let's see. So this already feels pretty good in the sense that we hit start and we immediately see our test chamber, the description, targets, and the players. If I just type in my commands, which are fight Beth, heal Beth. So one of the things I did after hours was I went ahead and cleaned up the status bar so that instead of seeing it over and over and over again, it now deletes itself, puts in the last command, and then redraws itself. So it feels mean, but let's kill Beth. Oh. So if I put in a bad command, I'm erroring out. And what I want to do instead is throw back a sorry, I have no idea what you're talking about. So let's go ahead and start stepping through as our first point of refactor and see where and why that's happening. Let's go to the command prompt. Let's go into the command parser and execute. So we're here. Just put in a breakpoint. Let's start. So I wanted to throw in a shorthand of L Beth. And the command parser has no idea what that means. So F10, F10, F10. One more time, F10. Perfect. Okay, so we get here. This looks good-ish. But what we're missing is we had no game action, but we didn't set the sender and target inside of the game response. So anything that needs to process these, like the display command, isn't going to know what those things are. Right? So when it gets here to request sender, that's going to be null. So we need to step back and set those things. And for our game actions, why don't we go ahead and add in something like because right now we don't know what it is. Let's just do a void there. Not really sure what name to give it. Could give it system message, but it doesn't really. Could say failed, but we already know that based off of what's successful. So we'll say void or none. Maybe none's better than void. And then we'll set the sender as the player and the target. I wouldn't know the target either, so this is going to have to be null. Let's try that and see how far it gets us. Let's just go ahead and continue. Okay, so looking better, except for now we're getting a double status bar. But it does, sorry, no command matched your request. We like that. So, what is going to be different from how we end this command and how we see this one, how we end this one, which causes that double status bar. So a fun little bug. So I've got clear previous line, which was that little fixer code I got to remove the status bar. Display command, draw status bar. All right, so let's just do some stuff. Fight Beth. Heal Beth. Burp loudly. Heal Beth. Okay, so a little bit of display glitch when we don't have a command and it displays twice. So let's see. If I heal Beth, and I hit F10, it clears the line. Then I display the command. Gary heals Beth for 5 damage. And I draw the status bar. Looks good so far. And if I say foobar. A clear line looks good. Display the command. Ah, interesting. So when I display this command, I'm also displaying the status bar already. So in Visual Studio I can do this. I can move my execution point up a few lines. It's not going to change my output that I've had already, but I can step back through. Oh, so I actually have status bar here twice for display command. Very interesting that, didn't see it with any of the other commands. Ah, because it's only for if the response was unsuccessful. So let's go ahead and move that guy. Fix that bug. Hit start. All right. Cassiopeia says, "Hi, you can use command line parser. There you can define commands with verbs. With this in mind, you can refactor your commands to be fully object-oriented because every command will be handled by several classes." Not quite sure I follow. Let me walk through the intent of command parser, and maybe you can give me some more input as to the direction you're talking about. So the command parser is and it's not really a pattern yet. You could call it an adapter pattern. You could also call it an interpreter pattern. You call it both, right? Because what we're trying to do here is form the request into something that the hive mind can understand. So because the command line can only give us one line of text, this is always going to be a little messy. We do want to refactor all this redundancy. We're doing the same thing over and over again at a later time, but there's always going to be some, I guess, shaping, probably some regex, a lot of attempts to find edge cases, to find shortened words, to do the best to take this almost natural language people are going to be typing in and match up to something in the game. And then when we can't do that safely, to just return back an error. So I think we are getting things to be fully object-oriented. We're just doing that necessary pain point up front of it's coming through a messy channel, to use a word that you guys can actually use again. It's a noisy channel. The command line is a noisy channel. And it's actually a great pattern because as we're getting into more voice recognition and getting access to those APIs, like I'm a Microsoft developer, so I'll go with Cortana. But now that we can tell Cortana what to use as a prompt, so if your command to open up your application was, or to start parsing for your application was